Your carry-on fit last time. That is exactly why you will get stopped this time. Because here is what most travelers never figure out. TSA does not decide whether your bag gets on the plane. TSA only screens what is inside it. The airline decides whether it fits, whether it counts, whether it gets gate checked, and whether your ticket even included it. So you can clear security with zero problems and still lose your bag at the gate. Here are 14 things travelers still get wrong about carry-on luggage, starting with the one that catches almost everyone. TSA checks what is inside your bag. Liquids, batteries, sharp objects, electronics, medication. That is their job. They are a government security agency. They are not employed by your airline. They do not enforce airline rules. The airline controls the bag itself. Size, weight, how many you can bring, whether your fare even includes a carry-on. Delta, United, American, Spirit, Frontier. Every single one has different rules, different size limits, and different enforcement levels. And enforcement changes based on how full the flight is. A half-empty plane on a Tuesday is a different experience than a packed Friday evening departure. This is why a bag can pass security with zero problems and still get stopped at the gate 10 minutes later. But TSA let me through means nothing to a gate agent. That only cleared the contents, not the bag. The rule, your airline's baggage policy, is your authority, not the security line. Go to your airline's website, find the baggage policy, and check the exact dimensions for carry-on and personal item. And if a different airline is operating your flight, check that one too. Because the rules that apply are the rules of whoever is flying the plane, not whoever sold you the ticket. Most people measure the shell and forget the wheels, handles, grips, and front pocket. Airline limits include the entire bag. The wheels count, the handle counts, the bulge from overpacking counts. Popular bags like Away, MOH Nose, and Base are frequently marketed as carry-on compliant. What that usually means is compliant when empty, measured at the shell only. The airport sizer does not care about marketing. It is a fixed metal frame, and your bag either fits or it does not. This is how a carry-on approved bag fails at the gate. Measure your bag fully packed. Put it on the floor. Measure from the bottom of the wheels to the top of the extended handle. That is the actual height. Then measure the depth at the fullest point, including any front pocket or side bulge. That is the number that matters. And do not assume a bag that fit last year will still fit this year. The bag did not shrink between trips. The enforcement changed, the flight filled up, or the plane was smaller. Airlines are allowed to gate check any bag at any time for any operational reason. Your only protection is a bag that is genuinely within limits, genuinely packed within limits, every single time. That expansion zipper feels like found room. It is not. At the gate, it turns your carry-on into a checked bag. Here is what it actually does. It adds 1 to 2 inches of depth to your suitcase. A bag that fits the sizer cleanly when zipped shut can fail the moment that panel is open. And it is not just the zipper. Stuff the front pocket on top of that, and now your bag is no longer a clean rectangle. It is rounded and swollen on every side. Gate agents are trained to spot that shape. They have seen it thousands of times. A bag that looks overstuffed gets a second look. A bag that looks like it barely closes gets tagged. Treat the expansion zipper as emergency space only. As in, you need to bring back something you bought on the trip and there is no other option. It is not extra packing room. It is not a buffer for heavy packers. If you are relying on it before you even leave home, your bag is already too full. The only question is whether you get caught on the way there or the way back. A personal item has to fit under the seat in front of you, not in the overhead bin. Under the seat. That is the entire definition. A small backpack, a laptop bag, a tote, a purse. Most airlines define personal item dimensions as roughly 18 by 14 by 8 inches. That is a small day pack, not a 40-liter hiking bag, not a duffel stuffed to capacity, not an oversized tote with a yoga mat strapped to the outside. Yes, you get one carry-on and one personal item. But that only works if both items actually fit where they are supposed to go. If your personal item is so big it has to go in the overhead bin, you are now occupying bin space for 2 bags. You have essentially brought 2 carry-ons. And on a full flight, gate agents watch for exactly that. They will ask you to consolidate. They will tell you 1 bag has to be checked. And on some airlines, like Spirit and Frontier, they will charge you for it at the gate, which is always more expensive than paying at booking. Your personal item should hold your essentials for the flight. Wallet, phone, laptop, headphones, snacks, a book. Not your entire vacation wardrobe. If you have to force it under the seat, shove it sideways, or sit with your feet on top of it, it is too big. Even a perfectly legal bag is not guaranteed to stay with you. Bins run out. Full flight, too many roller bags, smaller aircraft, or you simply boarded late and the bins are already packed. Airlines board by group for a reason. Group 1 boards early and fills the bins directly above their seats. By Group 4 or 5, bins near the front are gone. Passengers start walking further back to find space. By the time the last boarding group is on, agents are tagging bags at the door. It does not matter that your bag is the right size. It does not matter that you paid for carry-on. The bins are full. The bag goes below. So the smartest carry-on strategy is not just making the bag fit. It is assuming your roller bag could be taken at any flight, on any day, for reasons that have nothing to do with your bag specifically. That means medication, documents, keys, wallet, laptop, chargers, power bank, anything you need during the flight goes in your personal item before you ever get to the gate. Not stuffed in the roller bag's top pocket, in your personal item, accessible, organized, ready. The worst time to learn this is while the agent is already holding the tag and the jetway door is closing behind you. And speaking of what happens when that bag gets taken, number 7 is the one that can actually get your bag pulled from the plane entirely, not just checked. That is next. Smaller planes have smaller bins. Think CRJ700s, Embraer 175s, and Dash 8s. A bag that slides into a 737 or A320 bin may not fit on these aircraft. On many short hops and regional connections, agents collect roller bags at the jet bridge. You leave the bag at the aircraft door, get a tag, and pick it up planeside after landing. Examples: Atlanta to Savannah, Chicago to Green Bay, Dallas to Lubbock often use regional jets. Pack as if the roller will not stay with you. Move medication, laptop, and your power bank into the personal item. Keep those essentials accessible from the start. You will not have time to reshuffle at the door. And watch tight connections. Waiting for a planeside checked bag can cost precious minutes between gates. Power banks stay with you. FAA rules ban spare lithium batteries, including power banks, in checked or gate-checked bags. Why? Lithium fires. If a power bank is found in a bag headed to the hold, agents can delay departure, pull the bag, or refuse it. The rule is simple. Keep power banks and spare lithium batteries in the cabin only, never in cargo. Do not leave the charger in the roller bag's front pocket. At the boarding door, you will have about 30 seconds while they tag your bag. You will not have time to unpack the suitcase. From the start, put every battery, power bank, and e-cig in your personal item, an easy reach pocket. Cabin good, cargo bad. Organize your personal item so you can grab power on takeoff. Where do you keep your charger on board? Tell me in the comments. A large power bank can be a problem. A normal phone charger is fine. A large power bank can cross the battery limit and create a real problem at security or the gate. The number that matters is the watt-hour rating, WH, on the label. Here is what the limits actually are. Under 100 watt-hours, allowed in carry-on, no approval needed. 100 to 160 watt-hours, allowed with airline approval. Most airlines say yes if you ask. Over 160 watt-hours, prohibited on passenger aircraft, full stop. Most phone banks are $10 to $40. 20,000 milliamp hours is about 74 Wh. 30,000 is around 111 Wh. Approval zone. Giant laptop bricks can push past 160. Check the WH before you pack. Skip anything damaged or swollen and avoid batteries with no label. If an agent cannot confirm the rating, they can refuse it. A $10 no marking bank is not worth the argument. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does not. Frontier, Spirit, and Allegiant have long restricted carry-ons on their cheapest fares. But American Airlines began restricting carry-ons on certain basic economy domestic fares too, which surprised a lot of travelers who assumed major carriers played by different rules. On those fares, you get a personal item only. The roller bag costs extra, and at the gate, that extra charge is always higher than it would have been at booking. The cheap fare stops being cheap the moment you reach the gate with a bag you assumed was included. International Basic Economy adds another layer. Some transatlantic basic fares on major carriers allow a carry-on. Some do not. Some allow it on the outbound, but not the return if you changed fare class. It depends on the airline, the route, the fare class, and sometimes the specific flight. Before you book, find the baggage allowance attached to that exact fare, not the airline's general baggage page, the specific fare you are clicking on. Most booking sites show it during checkout if you look for it. And when you are comparing two flights with different prices, compare ticket price plus the bags you actually need to bring. The cheaper fare is often not cheaper once the bag fee is added. The roller bag is the bag most likely to be taken. Bins fill, and the airline is not grabbing your small personal item first. They are always grabbing roller bags. So valuables go in your personal item. Passport, wallet, keys, laptop, camera, medication, jewelry, cash. Anything you would panic about losing or spending hours replacing. Here is something most people do not realize. Once your bag goes into the cargo hold as a gate check, the airline's liability for its contents is extremely limited. Their contract of carriage, the legal document you agreed to when you bought the ticket, specifically excludes liability for electronics, jewelry, cash, documents, and fragile items in checked baggage. That includes gate-checked bags. If your laptop gets damaged or your camera goes missing from a gate-checked roller bag, the airline does not owe you the replacement cost. You are on your own. So do the test before you leave the house, and again before you board. If this bag was taken at the gate right now, would I be fine for the next several hours? Can I get through security, get to my connection, get to my destination, and function? If the answer is no, move those items now. Not at the gate. Not after the agent has already called your row. Now, before boarding starts. Medication stays with you. Not in checked luggage, not buried in a roller bag that might get gate checked. Prescriptions, liquid meds, inhalers, insulin, EpiPens, auto-injectors, medical devices, anything you take on a schedule or might need urgently. It all goes in your personal item. TSA has specific accommodations for medication. You are allowed to bring liquid medications in quantities exceeding 3.4 ounces. You do not need a prescription label on the bottle, though having one makes the process faster. You can request a visual inspection instead of having medication go through the X-ray. Know your rights before you get to the checkpoint, not while you are holding up the line. And the phrase, "it is in my carry-on," is not enough, because your roller bag is a carry-on that can still be taken at the gate. The real question is whether your medication will stay with you in every scenario, including a gate check, a last-minute aircraft change, or a plane-side bag drop. The answer needs to be yes. Pack for the full travel day, not just the flight time. A 2-hour flight can turn into an 8-hour travel day with a runway hold, a delay, a missed connection, and a rebooking. You need access to anything medically necessary for the entire day, not just the time you expect to be in the air. Liquids can trip you up on connections. At home, you follow the 3.4-ounce, 100-milliliter rule. That is only the start. The trap is international rescreening. You clear security at home, buy duty-free airside, then connect through another airport, and get screened again. That second checkpoint can seize liquids the first one allowed, unless they are in a steb, sealed and unbroken, with the receipt visible under that airport's rules. "I bought it inside the airport" does not save you if the seal is broken or the receipt is missing. Different airport, different rules. Keep liquid simple. And if you buy duty-free, keep it sealed in the steb with the receipt visible. On complex routes, like US to UK to EU, or any multi-stop rescreen, skip pricey bottles unless you have verified every airport's policy. Codeshare flights can change the rules. A codeshare is when one airline sells the ticket, but another airline actually operates the flight. The baggage rules follow the operating carrier, the airline flying the plane. Example, United has no carry-on weight limit, but Lufthansa often enforces a 7-kilogram cabin bag limit, about 15.5 pounds. Many European, Gulf, and Asian carriers weigh cabin bags at the gate and enforce limits strictly. If your bag is over the operating carrier's limit, it can be checked or charged, even if the airline you booked with would have allowed it. On your reservation, find the words "operated by Adkri." Then check that airline's baggage page for size and weight. Always confirm who is flying the plane before you pack. Is this allowed? That is a good question. It is not enough. The rules tell you the minimum. They do not tell you what happens when the flight is overbooked, the bins are already full when you board, the plane swapped to a smaller aircraft, the gate agent is running behind and moving fast, or any of the 100 things that happen on real travel days. Experienced travelers ask a second set of questions every single trip. What if the bins are full? What if I board in the last group? What if the plane is smaller than expected? What if my bag gets gate checked with no warning? What if I need my medication or my laptop or my documents mid-flight and the bag is in the cargo hold? Illegal carry-on can still wreck your travel day. The bag that passes every rule but holds everything you need for the trip gives you zero margin when something goes wrong. A smart packing system holds up when the airport does not cooperate. The system is simple. Roller bag gets clothes, shoes, toiletries, and anything non-urgent. Personal item gets your essentials: passport, wallet, keys, phone, laptop, chargers, power bank, medication, any documents you need, and anything valuable or irreplaceable. You should be able to hand your roller bag to a gate agent, walk onto the plane with just your personal item, and have everything you need for the next 12 hours. If the airline takes your roller bag, your trip still survives. That is the goal. Not a bag that is technically legal, a system that works no matter what the airport throws at you. Before your next flight, do 3 things. First, measure your carry-on fully packed, wheels and handles included, not the shell. The whole bag, loaded the way you are actually traveling. Second, check the baggage rules for the exact airline operating your flight. Find the words "operated by" on your reservation. Check that carrier's site, not the one you booked with. Third, move anything valuable, medical, or battery-powered into your personal item before you leave the house. Not at the gate. Not in the terminal, before you leave. Because the worst time to learn a carry-on rule is at the gate, while the agent is already holding the tag and the jetway door is about to close. That is the moment where every one of these 14 mistakes becomes a real problem. The rules are not secret. Airlines publish them. Most travelers just never read them until something goes wrong. If you know someone with a trip coming up, send them this video. It is the list airlines will not give you themselves. And speaking of bags getting taken, the checked bag rules just changed for 2026, and most travelers have no idea. I broke down exactly what is different and what it could cost you. Subscribe to Airport Insider Tips. This channel exists for one reason: to give you the rules airlines bury in the fine print before the gate agent tells you at the worst possible moment. If you want all of this in one place, my guide, Carry-On Rules Made Simple, is linked below. It covers every rule on this list with the exact airline policies, the current size limits, and a packing checklist you can use before every trip. It is built so you never have to figure this out at the gate again.